First I'll say that all of my work life has been about public service. So I started out as a journalist right out of college, and my aim was really to shine a light on happenings in the community so that average citizens would know what was going on and be able to make decisions intelligently about their local government or decisions that affect them. So my 4 years in the Vermont legislature included all of the years of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. So I was elected in 2019, right before, one session before the pandemic hit. So I had, during my time in the State House, a lot of connection with constituents, because we had, at the time, and we still do actually, a very vulnerable computer system that runs the Department of Labor and the unemployment system. So if you remember, during COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs, they lost their work, their businesses were really suffering. And the primary way that they were supported and got compensation was through this unemployment system. And the computer was crashing and failing, and people couldn't get any response at the Department of Labor. They were calling and getting getting recordings. So the primary way that I got to know my constituents and engage with my constituents was really to be a connection point for them from their lives and their local community to those governmental systems. So I had long lists each day of people who would call me and say they couldn't get through to the Department of Labor, or they needed their license renewed and DMV wasn't picking up the phone or whatever. So that was like an instant, quick way to make a deep connection with my constituents, because they were in need. The systems were failing them. And so as a local representative, my job was to be the glue and kind of connect them to their local government, which they were wanting to rely on in this time of emergency. So that was a very rewarding experience. People were really grateful. They were amazingly grateful for the ways in which we helped them. And I mean, there were businesses that are in our local community to this day that are in business because they worked through their state reps to get pandemic assistance, unemployment, all kinds of things. They were literally losing their jobs and businesses. So that was really, I felt really good that I could be available for them in their time of need. So the way a local law comes into being, and I'll give you an example of another piece of legislation that I was very involved in, was the creation of a new office in state government called the Office of the Child, Family, and Youth Advocate. So I was noticing, and many of us were noticing, that there were a lot of really negative interactions between people in poverty, and particularly people who were racially diverse, with the Department of Children and Families. And that was concerning to me, because the rate of parents losing their parental rights was very, very high among children of color. So all the states in New England have these ombudsman offices. It's kind of like an independent check on DCF, like an independent office that checks the work of DCF and kind of looks over it and says, we think you didn't make the right decision, or we think, we want to weigh in on this. So I wanted to create that office. And so it started out as a bill on the wall. We in our House Human Services Committee, we have this big wall of bills, different bills that are posted up there. It started out there. Then when the chair agreed to hear more information about this potential legislation, the bill came off the wall. And then we invited in witnesses to testify on different aspects of this law. So we heard from parents, and we heard from people who had had interactions with DCF. We heard from DCF themselves. We heard from lawyers, all different kinds of people. So there's a lot of like collecting of information, testimony. And then we work with a legislative counsel attorney in the State House to keep refining the law, keep refining the language of the bill based on the input that we're getting. So then once we have a bill that we like and the committee votes on that bill, once we've all agreed, and we didn't necessarily all agree on this. I think the vote was like 8-3, 8 of us in favor, 3 against. But we were able to get a bill that we were like, okay, this is a strong starting point. So then after it leaves committee, it goes to the floor of the House. And all 150 representatives then vote on this bill. So then when it clears the House, it goes over to the Senate. And it goes first to the committee. So the House has a Human Services Committee, and so does the Senate. So after leaving the House, it went over to the Senate, to the committee, and then a committee over there takes up the bill and brings in witnesses and listens to testimony and maybe is talking to the House committee about, various clarifications and questions. And then they get the bill kind of in the form they want. And then it goes to the Senate, to the floor of the Senate to be voted on by all senators. And if it clears those 4 hurdles, the committee, then the House, the whole House, then the Senate committee, then the whole House or the whole Senate floor, then it goes to the governor. And the governor can either veto it or sign it into law. And that's kind of the process. And some bills begin in the Senate and then come toward the House.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the process. It's a lot of steps before something gets becomes law. The importance of journalism. One of the other things that I did really early on was I worked with the Essex Reporter and really emphasized how important it was with their editor to really cover local issues. I feel like, as a journalist, I have a master's in journalism too. I'm a big believer in what journalism is known as the fourth estate. It's kind of like that independent, you have your 3 branches of government, and then you have the fourth estate, which shines a light on what's actually going on without fear or favor, and lets people know so that when they go and they vote for people, they really truly have the facts. So I was really thrilled that the Essex Reporter brought back its print edition. They had dropped that. They were just going online, and many people in Essex were not reading the paper and really knowing what was going on, because there are a lot of older people in Essex and they read the newspaper.